And there's also a chat function to this.
Sorry, go ahead. Let's get started.
Okay, let's get rocking and rolling. First of all, I want to thank all of you for coming on today. I know it's been a sort of a challenging period for everybody for obvious reasons. So our topic today is why IAOA agencies can sleep better at night offering cyber insurance, and we want to certainly answer that question. But let's start off with a quote of the day, and this quote reflects changes in what's going on in the cyber world. So a year ago, in Q4 2019, a little over a year ago, the average ransomware attack, which is the #1 leading data breach out there, was, I'm sorry, currently it's $84,116. That's a 104% increase from the 41,000 and change a year earlier. It's astounding. So one of the keys in understanding this particular slide is that coverages on BOPs just don't typically cover this. And we're going to get into that in a moment. But I want to address the 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is what we're going through with coronavirus. This is a real tragedy, and it will have some impacts on your business, but it's also going to have an impact on people who, particularly small to medium-sized businesses that are working from their homes now. It opens up all sorts of new potential attacks, cyber attacks, where you're not tied to your firewalls and so on. So keep that in mind, that your customers are going to have their challenges. And some of them may even be working on how are they going to survive and pay bills. But what they don't want to see is a ransomware attack that shuts them down because of everybody working from home. So we threw that in there this morning, and now we'll go on to the regular presentation. I want to introduce Brad Schrum. By the way, I should have introduced myself. I'm Jeff Goldman. I'm with Wingman Insurance, and I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. I'm going to turn the presentation over to Brad Schrum, who is with Wingman, and he is our chief underwriter, and he's down in Naples, Florida. So Brad, it's your show.
Thanks, Jeff. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us. As you know, stats never lie. Usually they don't. They're numbers, but they're important numbers. You'll see that 43% of cyber attacks today target small businesses. I actually think this number is going to go much higher in the near future. 77 of small and medium businesses, that's the SMBs, don't believe they're at risk. 60% of SMBs go out of business within 6 months of a cyber attack. And finally, 50% report they've had a data breach involving customer and employee information. So you can see these statistics are staggering, and some of them don't correlate to each other. They don't think they have an exposure, but they've had a breach. So it's interesting statistics. Why does offering your customers cyber help you sleep at night as an agent or a broker? Well, number one, you'll be taking care of your customer needs. I mean, it's very important today that cyber insurance is just not another coverage out there. It's probably one of the most critical coverages customers can have these days. You'll be rounding out the account. So you'll be helping round out and providing the insured with all their coverage needs. It keeps your competition away That's pretty important today. When you round out the account, we've seen agents and brokers just go out there and try to sell cyber. And once they do, then they get into the rest of the account. And even more importantly, reduce the potential for an agency E&O claim. We've seen many, many, many examples of this where calls are coming in, we've been ransomwared, and then they don't have the coverage. So first they're going to turn to try to getting it fixed, then to their attorney, and then the next thing you know, you have an E&O claim. So please, please, please offer this to your clients. And what I also call is the silent cyber. You'll have many policies that just don't talk about cyber, and there may be no coverage, or could be an assumption of coverage, but you never want to assume. You want to provide them with some sort of monoline comprehensive cyber coverage. Common myths as why businesses don't buy cyber coverages, and we hear this all the time, and probably you do too, when you're trying to sell customers or convince them to buy cyber. The cost, oh, it's just too costly. Well, the average cyber claim, as Jeff just showed you, what a ransomware claim could cost. The average cost to have forensics, accounting, or IT or lawyer, about $500 an hour. We tell you the cost of the insurance policy is to have a breach cost on retainer, and that is just something you just can't spend enough money on. It's like having your accountant or lawyer. Secondly, it's not going to happen to me, and we showed you that statistic. Statistics tell us totally otherwise. The statistic to keep in mind is 1 in 2.3 will have some sort of cyber event. Now, if you compare that to a homeowner's policy, 1 in about 3,000 will have a fire event, and they're required to have homeowners insurance. Very interesting statistic. I already have coverage in my policy, BOP. Well, couple myths here. Usually, it's only third-party coverage. The majority of claims today that we see, or our carrier access sees, is first-party claims, not third-party. The limits provided are usually inadequate, and the carrier providing the BOP policy has no expertise in cyber to handle a claim that usually has to be dealt with immediately. I'm not the responsible party. The credit card processor is. Heck, I only just put my credit card, swipe it, my customer's credit card, I swipe it. It's now the credit cards company's problem. Totally false. It is your customer's information. You're responsible for your customer. You will be sued. It's always going to be you. So keep that in mind. My IT guy says we're hacker proof. Well, we say absolutely not. Your IT person may put in the security protocols and everything, but we as human beings make mistakes. The majority of incidents are to open the door to get into your network is through your employees. So this is just totally false. And my cloud provider has my back, either whether you're using Amazon or Microsoft, they don't have your back. They usually limit their liabilities, or they're not responsible. Again, if your customer has, or you have some sort of hack that affects your customer, you are held accountable 100%. Now, there's potential where you could try to subrogate against the provider, the third-party provider, but it does not mean you will prevail. So now we're going to show you BOP cyber versus monoline cyber. As I mentioned, 75% of the claims are first-party. ISO BOP coverages are mostly third-party. The limits they provide are typically low, 100,000, 50,000. Prices are usually free or they're very high. We haven't seen anything in the middle. Your client must request, or you must request specific coverages if they can even be provided. We don't even know if you get it automatically. There's no social engineering coverage. And if you haven't done cyber, social engineering is CEO fraud or business email fraud is where a hacker is trying to get money from you and your employees, and you click on that email, and you end up paying a vendor who happens to be a hacker. No ransomware coverage. This, as Jeff said at the beginning, ransomware is the #1 severity and frequency of claims. It is a monstrous, monstrous issue. And then we see that there's no expertise in handling cyber claims with some of these BOP carriers. They may be great carriers to handle property and casualty and workers' comp, but you need a certain amount of expertise. You need to have a network set up that can immediately handle your cyber claim. Now, what coverage services make a quality cyber policy? Well, one, you want to make sure that you have first and third party coverage. As I mentioned, 75% of claims today are first party. You want to make sure you have social engineering coverage. You want to make sure you have invoice manipulation. So if you send your insured a bill for $10,000 for insurance, or should I say your insured gets a bill for $10,000 to pay their insurance because they bought it from you, it's got your logo on it and your invoice, they pay it. Guess who they just paid? They pay a hacker. They didn't end up paying you. Invoice manipulation is an important coverage. Bricking is basically where a hacker gets malicious, decides to shut down your computer. You can never turn it on. You can now throw that brick through the window, and that's why we call that bricking coverage. You want to make sure that you have business income for first and third party. You suffer losses and now you're going to lose income. The average number of days down after an incident is about 10. And then there's called payment card industry fines and penalties. And you want to make sure that ransomware and extortion are separate. You may want to look for funds transfer coverage. It's difficult to obtain, but you can certainly look at it. And pre and post breach training included. You want to make sure the carrier is offering both of these to your insured. You want to make sure there's a 24/7 breach hotline. So if your insured has an incident on a Saturday or Sunday morning, you want to make sure that they can call someone and get the claim started right away. And hopefully you can find a carrier who's not going to perform audits on your insurance policy. And you want a carrier who specializes in cyber. And you should ask these questions before appointing a carrier cyber, or should I say a carrier to appointment. How long does it take to rate, quote, and bind a policy? Do you provide instant chat to the underwriters? Is the paper A+ and admitted? How many questions will my customer prospect need to answer to get a quote? Do you offer direct bill? A lot of people like that. If you work with an MGA, do they directly sell against me or do they just work with me? Can you write policies less or more than 12 months to match the rest of the account? Do you provide training? These are great questions. Does the carrier product keep up with the current cyber issues? Does the carrier handle and manage their own claims? Can your cyber help my agency prospect for new customers? Well, Wingman, all these answers are overall are yes, and you can rate, quote, bind a policy within 2 minutes. Some of our top tips. Offer cyber to 100% of your customers. Use a declination letter so it reduces the potential for you to have an E&O claim. In fact, it may increase your bind rate. Don't wait to bind a policy when the other coverage is renewed. Do it now. You can write a policy between 6 and 18 months with Wingman. Stay on top of the current developments with data breach coverages. It's the quickest evolving type of commercial insurance out there. And this is our platform, Wingman Insurance, that certainly, Jeff, you could talk about. And Wingman is happy to review your current cyber coverages.
So, Brad, thank you for going through that. Of course, he went through it pretty fast, and I'm sure some of you probably have some questions. Let's unmute everybody. And if you have any questions, we'd love to answer them.
Or you can just put them on the Q&A. I got to unmute. How do we unmute?
Okay, I think all the participants are now unmuted.
Okay.
Any questions? This is your chance. Okay, so if anybody is interested in learning
There is
more
a question, Jeff.
What's that?
There is a question.
Go ahead.
Can you scroll back to the items to look for on a cyber policy? Yes, let's go back.
And I have a follow-up to that. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between first and third-party coverages with regards to a cyber policy?
Yes. Okay. Somebody wanted to ask, can you scroll back to look for on a cyber policy? Okay, hold on one second.
You just go out of presentation mode, Brad.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jeff. There we go. Is that what you were looking for? I think question on a cyber policy. Okay, there we go. First and third party. So if you look at what is third and first party coverage. So if you correlate that to a homeowner's policy, it would be, like the liability is the third party. So it is damages that your customers suffer that we would defend. Those are the third party coverages. And the first party are damages that you suffer as an organization, okay? That you suffer as an organization. Does that answer the question? Okay.
Yes, it does. Thank you. What other specific things make an insurance agent better when selling a cyber policy?
Say that again, please.
What other tips do you have for an insurance agent to make them better at selling a cyber policy?
Well, education, the training. We would certainly provide training to improve knowledge on how to sell cyber policies. That would certainly probably be the biggest one that I have. Examples. We at Wingman have what's called the E-Risk Hub, and that you can get knowledge and education on pre and post breach and losses and things like that. So if you want to gather losses on a certain industry group, so if a client says to you, I just don't think I'm going to have that type of claim, you could look it up in real time and show them that their industry is having losses, and here's some live examples.
Are there any industries that don't need cyber policies?
Great question. Every industry does need a cyber policy. If you have a computer, we would tell you that you have an exposure. Some people come to us and say, for construction, for instance, we don't have an exposure. We would tell you every risk has a ransomware and a social engineering exposure. So you're always going to have hackers who are going to try to get money from you and get it from you as quick as possible, or from your clients. They're going to do it. And then you have the social or invoice manipulation. So they try to manipulate invoices and send them to your clients to pay them, and they're paying the hacker. So we would tell you everybody's got an exposure, from restaurants to retail to nonprofits to manufacturers, healthcare. It's truly everybody today. If you have a computer, you have an exposure. Now, some exposures are going to be lower than others, and those are differentiated in the pricing of the product. Good question.
So for everybody that's out there who doesn't know Wingman, what we are an MGA, we're an InsurTech. We have the technology of the platform that Brad showed you for a moment, and we work with Access Insurance. Access is A+ and admitted in 48 states, all states except Vermont and Hawaii, and one of the largest writers of cyber in the world. What we do as a company is we help agents, P&C agents, quickly, as Brad said, rate, quote, bind, direct bill, cyber policies in under 2 minutes. So if any of you are interested in seeing a demonstration of the platform, Brad would be happy to do a demonstration right now. So if you want to see a demo, hang on for about 1 minute. And Brad, if you could bring up the platform, we will show it. If anybody needs to go, that's fine, but we will show you exactly how to use this platform. So this is the platform. Brad, your ball again.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. I'm going to show you how it works. And if you're interested, just stay on the line and Jeff will definitely get in touch with you. This is our platform. I won't take a ton of time, but I'll show you how it works. We have instant chat right here, so you can talk to us directly. These are Wingman employees. So everybody knows the back and forth with phone calls. You don't have to make phone calls. Certainly you could call Jeff or myself or Ellie or Heather, but you can just go right here on the platform and type in your question. This is our tool section that you'll see here, and we have videos, exactly what we did today. And just to let you know, we will send everybody a video recording of today's event. But there are videos on how to sell cyber, to the educational videos. We have a lot of videos to share with you. We have marketing tools. These are tools that we developed. We want you to take our tools and make them your tools. What you're going to really like about us is nothing goes out with the Wingman name. It goes out with your logo. So the customer think it is coming from you all the time. We have applications, and these are applications if you have risk over 100 million or they need more than 3 million of limits. As Jeff mentioned, we are admitted, or Access is admitted in 48 states. This is an A+ admitted form, so you don't have to worry about it. The only 2 states are Vermont and Hawaii, where we cannot write admitted policies if they're domiciled states. You'll have access to the cyber policy and the tech E&O with cyber. Last but not least, before we show you how this all works, this is the data breach event hotline. This is a 24/7 hotline. It will be contained in the insurance policy as well. We have all the service providers right here. We have our e-risk hub, where it's an educational hub for you and your clients. You would report the claim and work directly with Access. We don't get in your way. Last but not least is our cyber risk aware platform training module. And you'll see here, this comes along with the policy. It's free training for your insureds. And you'll see here some of the key features, which are right here, but they get the free training. So now I'm going to show you how this works. Okay, so now we're going to show you how it works. And what I'm going to do right here is we're going to do a new account. And before we go into the new account, what you're going to see here is this little arrow. And it is a pointy arrow, but it's going to have a lot of impact on what you do. you can send your client an electronic application. Okay, so all you have to do is click on that, and you're going to see here where you would put their first name, last name. Your client gets this electronic application. You're going to see it's only 5 total questions. They get the electronic application with your logo on it, not ours, but yours. They answer it. Once they answer it, it goes back in the electronic file. You'll get an email to say it's there. You need to review it. And if you like it, you need to hit release for quote. We do not release any quotes to your clients. 0, none at all. You communicate with your client. Okay? So that's one way to do it. The other way is right here again on our pointy, shiny pointer is get the custom link. If you sign up or when you sign up with us, you'll see here, you're going to have this URL and it will have your name at the end here. This is your unique URL. You can put this on your website. You can put this on your email. Watch what happens. You click on this. It will have your name over here, your email. Your client can complete the application right online. See that? Easy. Wingman will not show up. It will have your logo. Simple, simple, but allows you to use your social media, and it allows you to put it on your email or on your website so you can promote cyber. So now we're just gonna do it the old-fashioned way. And you'll see here, I'm just gonna do a client today that does 2 million in revenue. I live down here in beautiful Florida. So I will put my address, but Google will pick up the address. You'll see here, there's 21 industry groups. Access writes all industry groups except for cannabis. Pretty easy and simple. If you do not know how to classify the risk, sometimes you won't. Come here and ask us, we'll help you. Or go to other and put in what they do. And you see like a lawyer's office, click on it, save, bang, legal services, right? But for today's demo, we're just gonna do a healthcare account. And you're gonna see here, what protected records do you maintain or process? You can click on 1, 2, or all 3 of these if they have the exposure. If they don't have it, you don't have to click on it. How many healthcare records do you have? Here's another cool thing. We don't ask you exact amounts. We ask for estimates. Most insurance companies love exact amounts. That's not how we do it. So we're going to say our little healthcare account has 0 to 100,000 records. They have some personal information records just for the employees. And they will process some credit cards, co-insurance, or deductibles. And the last question says, are you or not and your credit card PCI compliant? 99.9% of the time, the answer is yes. And the last question, ladies and gentlemen, is, have you had any incidents? Okay, if you say yes, you're going to get a pop-up and you're going to answer the questions. You will not get an automatic quote, but you will not get an automatic declination. We have to look at it. If all looks good, then we'll approve it. If not, then we're going to ask you some more questions. But if you do say no, you now have a bindable quote, okay? So you could rate, bind, issue, direct bill, and print a policy all within 2 minutes. We're done. You don't need us to give us any additional applications. You don't need us to give us any wet signatures. Now, we've quoted 1, 2, and 3 million. Our average limit is 1.2 million. So you can see here in the majority of cases, clients will purchase one of these 3 limits. Now, if they need 4 to 10 million, you'll either download an app and complete it, or you already have an app from another carrier that you could just download to the file. Pretty simple. Now we're going to view the quote letter, okay? And you click on that and you'll see here the quote letter comes up. This will not have Wingman. This will have your logo on it. And just to highlight it, as we mentioned, it's A+ admitted paper, A+ 15, Access Insurance. Access is one of the top 3 writers of cyber in the world. And the retroactive date is all prior acts. You get the third party cover. Well, first of all, you get cyber terrorism for no additional charge. and you get the liability coverages, which are the third-party coverages. I'm not going to go into detail on any of these right now, but just to save a little time. And then you got your cyber first-party coverages. As we mentioned, this is where 75% of the claims are occurring today. And we give you a plethora of these coverages, including business interruption, which includes first-party and third-party related to cyber events and not cyber events. And just to give you an example, if you're upgrading your software in your office and it knocks you out for 3 days, but it doesn't have to do with a cyber event, it has to do with a failure of the software, a business income claim can be paid. So we've quoted 1, 2, and 3 million for you automatically. Now the client has said they're ready to buy coverage, and we're going to show you how simple that is. This is direct bill. All we do is direct bill. We take ACH and credit cards. If the insured wants to pay by a credit card, there's a 2% fee involved. That is a convenience fee that's just passed along to them from the credit card company. You'll see here we offer 1 million, 2 million, and 3 million. And at the 1 million level, you'll see that it's an annual payment, but if you need something different, you let us know. Anything over 2,500, you can do monthly, quarterly, or annual. Okay? We pay you 15%, 15 on new and renewal, both. Okay? And if you do a lot of good things and write a couple 100,000, we'll look at increasing those numbers. So we're going to say proceed with $1 million limit. Here's another cool benefit that we offer. You can write a policy between 6 and 18 months. It does not have to be 12 months. So you can put coverage in immediately, okay? If you want to do that, we've quoted it on a 12-month basis, so you're going to have to come down here and ask us to re-rate it, and that's fine. So we're almost done. All you have to do is put the billing contact name and their email address. You will get a copy of the bill. It is going to have your logo on it. That's going to go to your client. Your client has 14 days from the effective date to pay the bill. So if we have a 3/1, they have up to 3/15 to pay the bill for it to be effective 3/1. So if they pay on 3/10, the policy will issue on 3/1. However, there's 0 coverage, no binder until they pay the bill. So they must pay the bill for coverage to incept. Once they pay that bill, you're going to know it because within 1 minute, the policy is going to be in your inbox to deliver to your client. We do not deliver anything directly to your client. Once that is done, we have just completed the transaction. As I mentioned, you can rate, bind, issue, direct bill, and print a policy within 2 minutes, and you are finito. At renewal, we even make it easier. If a client hasn't had any losses or incidents, we only ask you 2 questions. What's the rate? What's the revenue and number of records? Now, if your client says to you, we're just not ready today, let's do it in 3 weeks. So you go to your color wheel, go to search. All you have to do is put the name of the account in there, IAOA, put it in. There it is. Voila, hit quote, and you just bound your account. And that's how it works. Jeff?
Well, very good. Thank you, Brad. So we know we went through this very quickly, and if anybody after this has any questions or is interested in learning about being appointed or wants to see a slower version of the demo, be happy to do it. You can email me at Jeff, Jeff, at wingmanins, as in insurance.com. Jeff at wingmanins.com. Any last minute questions before we conclude this webinar? Well, I want to thank everybody for attending, and I hope to hear from some of you. We will send out the recording of this, so you can get my email off of that too. And we thank you. Please stay safe during these troubled times, and we hope to work with you.